See if he can be the fastest of the Chevrolet, or the fastest of all of them. I got to believe he might be the fastest of all of them, up to this point at least.
Daytona was one of 7 pole positions won by Gordon in 1999.
You can see he's taking it high.
Yeah, that's that throwaway lap that you and I talked about before we got on the air. They do that. They run the first lap kind of high, use up all the racetrack they can, get the RPMs up as high as they possibly can to get that great second lap.
Now with the nose all blocked off, do they run the risk of overheating the car before they complete the 2 laps?
Now that's the trouble with throwing 1 lap away. I like to always have one in the books that's pretty decent and take my chances on second lap, but these guys know a lot more than I do about qualifying. What do I know?
4-time pole winner here.
That tells me you have a lot of talent, that you're a very talented young man, because I don't think there's very many drivers in the garage area that could accomplish that in that many different kind of cars.
Stewart trying to qualify for his 3rd Daytona 500. Let's go into the garage area and meet the leader of the Dodge teams to Daytona. Here's Steve.
And that's Ray Evernham. Ray, you have spearheaded this enormous undertaking, bringing Dodge back to NASCAR racing. But, man, you've been keeping a low profile since you've been to Daytona. How do you feel?
Well, I need to keep a low profile. I told everybody I've been doing the media for 490-some days. And right now, Evernham Motorsports needs my attention, so I'm trying to help my guys as much as I can.
Your thoughts, Ray, as you're about to go out?
Just really happy with the overall Dodge program. There was a lot of people involved besides me, and I think that we've handed a good product to some of the other race teams, obviously, with Sterling and Stacy and some of the guys.
The team moving to 2nd in points over the last 2 months.
Mark started on the pole for this race in 1989. That's he started on the outside pole the year later in the July race and started 3rd in 99. All in July. 3 top 3 starts.
Not a very good first lap, 50.02. Mark was 21st quickest, but there you talk about the heat. Yeah, Jeffrey Bodine, he just did that at the hottest track temperature we've had all day, 116 degrees. I mean, that's almost 15 degrees hotter than when, like, Dale Jarrett and some of those guys ran. Johnny Benson went earlier.
That's a great lap considering the conditions right now.
Be the 16th fastest lap of the day.
Whoa, 48.94 on lap 1.
That's a big lap. This could go into the 30s or 40s.
Look at that. The arrow went straight to the left
before he even got close to turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, this is a big lap.
And of course, he was 3rd quickest in the practice the other day, 48.71, which was about a half of a tenth slower than his teammate Michael Waltrip. But right now, that thing is solid. As you can see, she's staying on the pole, not even thinking about moving. And right here, you're showing that he's almost 2 tenths quicker than Michael right there at the end of the backstretch.
He gets off turn 4 here without any glitches. Doing all DEI front row.
It has a little bit of opening in that front end right there.
He and Michael both did. I think that's key element.
Everything you can do for safety is better for him.
Alan? Okay, lap 1 complete for Junior. Now we keep an eye on the NBC pace chase and see how his 2nd lap compares with the fastest lap of Elliott Sadler. So far, very favorably.
Green, 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 and 0.03 of a second. Now the backstretch, the wind, is it going to bother this Bud car? So far it isn't.
It's coming down.
Starting to lose a little bit going in turn 3.
Coming down.
Oh, it's still, now it's going to red. Back to green. Oh, this is so close.
This is going to be close. Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking above Elliott Sadler off the Bud pole here at Daytona International Speedway.
It's going the wrong way, going the wrong way.
9 top 10 starts. Now he's a young fellow, video gamer, Darrell.
Right.
Let's have a look here.
I tell you what he's got. The cars in the Bud shootout, the Budweiser shootout, and this car too. They're fast. He's got fast race cars.
You know, we were talking a while ago when Ryan Newman was qualifying about the attitude of the car. And of course, NASCAR regulates almost how much you can travel the rear of the car to get that rear spoiler out of the air. But you can do what you want to the front as far as springs and shock, but it's all up to what's the best attitude to get the car through the air.
Well, let's see. Here he comes. Where's he got his hands at here, folks? Looks like he's at about 3 and 9 to me.
40
740. Really had no idea how fast this car was going to run. First lap is
28-27.
Yeah, that's not as good as some of these other cars have been. So I don't think he's going to be up in the top. Might be in the top, let's see. Might be in the top 5.
24th for the 24 car. Where'd you say he's going to end up?
I'd say about 5th.
Okay. Second lap for Jeff Gordon, defending champion of the Daytona 500. Missed the chase for the championship 1 year ago, but has come here with a lot of confidence and expects a very strong season from himself and his team. 4-time series champion.
Was running third on the last lap of last year's Daytona 500, made contact with another car, and that triggered the big one. Right behind Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin racing for the checkered flag.
And then came within just a few thousandths of a second of winning the July race here. Jamie McMurray just beat him back to the line.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, he'll keep his M&Ms mixed up. You can count on that.
You know, in Major League Baseball, the NFL, you know, they talk about trades and free agents and buyouts and all those things. And when I look at two stories coming into this 2008 season, I almost think for the teams that ended up with two different drivers, it's going to be win-win. I think Rick Hendrick getting Dale Earnhardt Jr., I think we saw the product of that last night. I believe this is going to come out a win.
He kind of got on a roll there in the month of May. And looked like this team was going to really, you know, win a lot of races. But then, man, it just all fell apart. It came together quickly, went away quicker.
And he's going to run the same groove that Jeff Gordon ran on his first lap, right against the wall. Now, Jeff's first lap was a 48.55. And if you run right against the wall, that's about what you should be able to pick up from lap 1 to lap 2 is about 4 to 5 tenths. Now, if you run lower on that first lap, and I think we'll see some guys try that strategy, you just won't pick up quite as much.
You know, the thing that I've noticed, and I think if I were qualifying right now, this is what I do. When I ran my second lap, not only would I run right around the bottom in the corner, I'd run right around the bottom down the straightaway.
Shortest distance.
Everywhere.
Or ask him, did he know where they were going to wreck when he came off turn 2?
Yeah. Did you have any idea?
Sam Hornish, first lap, 48.39.
Pretty good first lap.
That is. That's
right in there with the boys.
Yeah, yes, it is. And you see right now, he's flirting with the front row. Sam had a front row start earlier in the year, qualified second at Texas.
Hit that dip down there, kind of one of the dips in turn 1 and 2. It looked like it might have knocked a little speed out of the thing. See how if he can gain anything back. There's a little bit of headwind down that back straightaway. You can see that tracker moving a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's so close right in there because right now you've got Jimmy Johnson second at a 47.88, Logano third at a 47.90, so it's pretty tight. He keeps flirting with the front row, with all the way to the pole up there.
Right there he did.
He's going to do it.
Work that into your schedule.
Does this mean we have to call him the general, or can we stick with Cousin Carl?
I like Cousin Carl. He's been Cousin Carl ever since I met him.
Just it's stuck with him.
Well, Kenny Schrader, that's how he introduced Carl to all of us back when Carl first showed up. He said, this Cousin Carl from up in Missouri.
You know, Carl, what he loves to do during the off season is go and see in different cultures and different things. And he does it in a unique way. In fact, this past off season, he spent 2 weeks touring Vietnam on a bicycle.
I just thought about something I said about that 11 car.
Yeah.
I make that decision on a replay.
On the replay, yes, yes.
I don't know what I'd have done if I'd have been coming down at 2:05.
Or here about 18 hours later.
Carl matches his car number, Someone pointed that out to Stewart on media day, and he said, well, if I'd known things were going to line up like that, I would have chosen number 2 instead of 14.
Worked out pretty good for a man that carried 17 on his car one year.
Hey, sometimes it works. You know, there's nothing wrong with having that going for you, I can tell you.
47.05, third quickest first lap for the reigning Sprint Cup champion, who guested on Tim Allen's sitcom this week and had everybody in the garage area rolling on the floor when Hector Elizondo said to him, Tony, you're early. And he says, yeah, it's a thing with me, because everybody knows Stewart is anything but on time.
Including our meeting the other day.
That's right.
That's a pretty timely first lap.
Let's see if he's early to complete lap 2.
He's on the...
They've been dating for the last several months. There's not an item filled up the pages of all the local papers here on Valentine's Day.
Well, 46-42, that's quicker than what Tony Stewart ran on his first lap. And she should pick up about 5.5 to 6 tenths, which is going to put her in pretty good shape. And you can see right now on the tracker, that's where she's tracking.
She ran 45.86 yesterday. Based on what I've been seeing, there should be about a 10th improvement over yesterday. If that in fact holds true, this is going to be a whale of a lap.
Mike, I know who else she's going to give some competition to this year on another award. I think that Sprint Cup Series most popular driver award with Dale Earnhardt Jr. pretty much has been a lock for the last few years.
Patrick started on the pole for the nationwide race here last year, but that was after leading 86 laps, the most of any driver in last year's 500.
Yeah, if you look back at the 4 restrictor plate races last year, the 2 here and the 2 at Talladega, he led a total of 261 laps. That is so hard to do at even the 4 races, but they just couldn't quite close the deal. His best finish was 8th at Talladega.
Right, that's 35% of all the laps raced at Daytona and Talladega were led by this man in this car. Finished runner-up for the Sprint Cup Championship last year to Jimmy Johnson.
And Mike, we have so many storylines coming into 2014, but to me, one of the big storylines to watch, aside can Jimmy Johnson get that 7th championship?
In 5 minutes.
Half the cars are on track right now. Group 1A. The other half will go out in Group 1B, and the fastest 24 overall will advance. Look right there at that number 44, trying to move up and trying to catch that second group. Reed Sorensen could really be in a great spot there.
He is in a great spot, Mike. He's got pushers behind him. He's got the draft of all these cars here in front of him. This guy right here could be the man on this run.
And Reed Sorensen has no points, has no chance to make the 500 except on speed or race his way in on Thursday. He's on that gotta-go list.
It's going to be interesting to see, Mike Larry, just what that car's doing. If it's got enough speed to get
on Martin Truex and his opportunity to qualify, he'll be listed as a DNS in the qualifying order and start at the back of the Can-Am duel as Carl Edwards in the Eris Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. When he was in a Ford, he started on pole for the 500 in 2012. Last year qualified 6th.
You know, Toyota wins their first championship in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series last year. They're looking for their first Daytona 500 pole and first win in the Daytona 500. And certainly those Joe Gibbs Toyotas have been showing a lot of strength down here already.
Yeah, I think these the Gibbs cars particularly are the Gibbs and the Penske car seems to be the cars to beat already. I mean, based on what we saw in practice, what we saw last night,
well, we'll see
You got to give him a little bit of credit there.
I mean, look, when you have on your Twitter handle one line and it said retired mechanic, tow truck driver, and now an engine tuner at the Cup level, that is a pretty cool one-liner.
That catches your attention. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now on track.
He has to feel the weight of the world has been lifted. That he finally broke through. He's friends with Kyle Larson. He's seen him win races. He sees Chase Elliott running up front. Just finally breaks through at Talladega.
Right front, great job to everybody, the team and NASCAR, getting all these cars through inspection today and on the grid.
Austin Dillon. Is he still a young gun at 27?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, he is the older of the 2 brothers, Mike and Tina Dillon's boys, Richard and Judy Childress' grandsons. Austin at RCR and Ty with Germain Racing. This will be Austin's 6th Daytona 500. He won the pole in 2014 and has 2 top 10 finishes.
You saw a little bit of a different line there, him sort of letting the car.
Mentally preparing himself for the upcoming season. He told me change has been good for him in the past. Darian Grubb, Mike Wheeler, he won within the first 2 races with those pairings. He's expecting nothing less than his association with Chris Gabehart. And by the way, 1 or 2 laps out on the track, then look for the Toyotas to pair up together. And by the way, for the 19th straight year, it's my honor to throw upstairs to my pals Mike Joy, DW, and Super G, Jeff Gordon. Fellas?
Thanks, Matt. The first 6 cars to roll out on the track did so single file and with a big separation between them. Now there's an 8-car train rolling off turn 4, coming back to the start-finish line, led by Joey Logano.
You know, Mike, I might call this.
Now, of the cars that are the open cars, that does not include Stenhouse, Haley and Gaughan are the 2 fastest. Haley is locked in, and Gaughan has to wait and see what Daniel Suarez does here.
We've already shown when we opened up the show today about sparks and what that means about that car being extremely low. And we're seeing a lot of sparks out of the right side of this car right now with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And it is showing up. Look at the speed this car is carrying down the back straightaway versus right now Tyler Reddick in that Ghost car.
So if that chassis is sparking, it means that big blade on the back of the car is down out of the air as much as possible for minimal drag.
Yeah, you would think those sparks would have friction on the racetrack and slow you down, but no way. That here in 2021 to be in one of the best organizations and race teams out there, and I'm very anxious to see what he can do with this opportunity he's been given.
He needs to draft the Ghost cars when he needs to do with that opportunity.
He needs a couple rounds.
Man, a round
or Larry, 5. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, normally when you see that much spark out of the rear, Mike, it's the rear track bar mount on the right side. You know, it's the same thing you see adjusted on a pit stop, but it's the mount itself because the back of that car is down so low.
And those sparks means that's dragging, and drag reduces speed.
Well, you got to be a little careful grinding that thing down too much.
Yeah, there's a tolerance there, and if you get it too far, that's a no-no. Dragging, eating it up, trying to make a move on you, always good, always finding a way to the front down here in Daytona.
When David had all that success at Front Row Motorsports, he was teamed with David Gilliland, the father of this driver. Todd is making his Cup Series debut. He has 3 Truck Series starts at Daytona. He's a 2-time truck winner. His dad won the pole for Robert Yates here in 2007.
I just love the way these cars look. This next gen car, they knocked it out of the park. The diffuser on the back you see right there, such an important thing, not only as we see drafting and everything take place here at Daytona, but as we go through and progress all of these different racetracks, short tracks, intermediates, it's going to be a big play, and I look for this car to make a lot of noise this year.
With which he won 7 championships. This is the Carvana Chevy. Since he last raced in the Cup Series, 7 IMSA starts and 29 IndyCar races.
We'll see it in green. The one he's got to beat is right there, racing for time tonight out of these 6 open cars.
And to Jimmy right now, that is just as important as it is to the rest of the field that has charters racing for that front row and getting locked in for
what Jimmy doesn't know that we know right now is he is beating him. So hoping that he doesn't run into a killer headwind when he turns the corner here off of 4. Man, he might just do it.
There are 2 more open cars to go, and they will be the next 2 cars to qualify. So Johnson's spot in the 500 is not secure.
You mentioned it. You just want to be the fastest, right? Unless you're on a different plan. Sometimes it's a different idea about what it's going to take to win this race tomorrow night, and that can affect the speed a great deal. But if you both have the same idea, build the fastest race car that you can, who did it best?
This is so close. We're talking thousands, 8 thousandths of a second.
And remember earlier, the teammates from Front Row Motorsports posted the idea.
This always seems to be the car at Hinder Camp that gets it done.
Well, looking at the way the tracker's headed right now,
we're going to need more speed.
It's going to have to tick the other way a little bit quicker.
Needs to floor it.
And I think last year, we saw some of that. They backed a little bit of that speed out of the cars, it seemed like, and they got a little better handling after the first year with so much speed, and kind of found a better balance to be able to push and shove and do the things that they needed to do with the car. Still fast.
Yeah, that first year with the car, with this Gen 7 car, I mean, they had the speed, but it was almost.
Yeah, and you hear so many people talk about, how much luck is involved in this, and we talked about Stenhouse earlier, how he always puts himself in position. You can call one a fluke, but 2 in a row, you can't call that a fluke. So, this 24 bunch and Hendrick Motorsports being in victory lane 2 years in a row at our sport's biggest race, and I just believe this is a year for William Byron. I think every year that they go through together as a group, they learn a little bit here and there. We saw him be in contention all the way to the end of the year last year, and they're constantly learning and putting themselves in a better position, just getting that experience.
He's such a patient race car driver, and I think that fits the mold to the Daytona 500-mile race, getting that thing to the end of it, all the attrition, and being in the right place at the wrong time or at the right time. He's just patient and methodical with everything he does.